Escorts of Reddit. Who was the weirdest client you've ever had? I had one ask me to walk on live slugs and snails in my bare feet. He wanted to film it for a video he was making. Apparently it was a common fetish, and he sold lots of the videos. I declined and we just had regular sex. Another had a full-on fetish for being run over. He would talk about it constantly, had all these stories about how he had met girls and talked them into running over his stomach as he lay naked in the dirt with an erection. He used to show me videos online of similar situations, so it must have been another common fetish. I never had sex with him, just masturbated him to orgasm as I talked about running him over. One night as I was leaving work he came running out asking me to run him over. As I drove off he stuck his foot under my wheel. The next night he showed up and gave me $20 for the hassle. That's hilarious, he has quite a sex drive. Former male escort. I mostly had great clients, but my worst was a client who was trying to inject drugs into himself in front of me, something I was emphatically not participating in and not comfortable with. He couldn't find a vein and was just bleeding profusely out of his arm. My pants were down around my ankles. He's bleeding. There's a TV show playing which is a series almost Lynchian interviews with aging residents of a dying rural Canadian town, and then his mom walks in. I wish I could say I learned my lesson and never saw him again, but I did, and his mom burst in again. One of my ex-girlfriends had this guy offer her $800 to kick him in the balls. Just once, in public, she declined. I'm not sure why. Not me, but a friend of mine is an escort/cam girl. Maybe not super weird, but the guy asks her to wear a thong over panties all day and then send said thong to him. He said he likes the smell, but only wants a hint of pussy smell. She finds it funny that the guy wants to get kinky and weird, but not too kinky and weird. Kind of a twist answer to the question. My boyfriend's rumored was an escort. She was having a slow day, so she didn't have any out calls. She didn't get contacted all day, except by one absolute weirdo who asked if she could collect her used condoms for the day and leave them in a garbage can in the bathroom so he could take them home. He was willing to pay $50 a condom. My boyfriend and I were both home, didn't have a whole lot to do, wouldn't have minded beer money. She asked if we were willing to take care of the job for her. Needless to say we made $100 that day. She kept $50. Not me, but a friend of my ex was a professional, as she called it, just outside Reno. When I knew her she was pushing 40 and had been out of the business for 10 years, but my favorite story of hers was when she was paid $10K to accompany one of her regular guys to his 20 years high school reunion. He bought her a ticket and flew her to Texas. Her job was to basically act as his girlfriend for the reunion, complete with backstory. She said they had sex once on the weekend, but that he basically went around to all the people there introducing her to them. He wasn't even a well-off guy. He sold used cars for a living and took out loan to finance the trip, just so he could pass off a hooker as his girlfriend at his 20-year reunion. Oh, and during the reunion, she fucked his best friend because she thought he was cute. So this guy's best childhood friend hooked up with a woman he thought was with his best friend girl. I'd have loved to see that come to light. Yeah, that's just sad. And paid $10K for pretending being his GF and then fucks his best friend? I wasn't a physical escort, but more of an emotional cam-girl escort. I had 4 consistent customers I had over a span of 2-ish years that would vent to me, talk about their day and life. It was honestly kind of like having friends, but friends that would want to see me semi-naked sometimes. I wouldn't call this weird honestly, but I had a very sweet consistent customer who was a closeted transgender. She didn't have much confidence in her body, but the kicker was that she was about my skin tone and our hair was fairly similar. Mine was just a little shorter. She would buy pieces of lingerie and outfits for me to wear and send them to my PO box along with a PayPal payment ranging from $100 to $250. I would model pieces for her over Skype, then we would talk about her hormone therapy and self-confidence, etc. After a while I felt bad for taking her money, because despite modeling underwear, she never really asked for anything inherently sexual. Fast forward about 2 years ago, I checked up on her, and turns out her family accepted her, and she was fairly passable. She seemed very happy about herself, and I'd like to think that I had some hand in that. This is actually quite wholesome and beautiful. Close bracket. This is memeology, please spare one like, miss, please. Miss Yatab said I can't be eligible for monetization anymore. I wouldn't call myself an escort, but there have been a few photos with compensation, if you get my deal. One guy wanted pictures of my feet, but only on a tile background. It couldn't be carpet, or a bed, or even a rug. No, it had to be white tile. I didn't have white tile in my apartment, so I had to go to a friend's house. It was quite the awkward request. Can I take a picture of my feet at your home? I require a tile background. He ended up compensating me well, but I never asked why he needed a tile background so bad. Less weird and more sad, but I did a house call to one guy who was most likely 450 plus lbs. Stunk to high heaven, but he was very nice, paid well, and had 3 adorable doggos. I also had one deaf guy, a very not suave dude who drove a green Kia Soul, and did what a lot of deaf people do, as in with the exaggerated lip movements and spitting. Kissed like he had only ever seen a 3-year-old trying to copy French kissing, making big smoochy lips, and pressing them all over with copious amounts of slobber. That one was gross. Not an escort but a stripper. I have so many weirdo stories. I once made a douchebag agree to drink a cup of my piss because he was being an asshole. Another paid me $100 to fart on him. One guy brought in a literal engagement ring for me. Like literally thought we were actually gonna get married in the club with all my stripper friends as bridesmaids. Plenty of feet guys, couple of armpit guys, you name it. It stops becoming weird after a while. Besides, I kinda find weird behaviors endearing tbh. Not an escort, but used to be a stripper. Weirdest client I ever had was a man that came in asking girls repeatedly to dance with his grandmother's stockings on. He kept asking the wrong girls. Half were like, so long as he pays money, and the other half called him Norman, freaked out, and ran away. Unfortunately for him, he kept asking the second group of girls over and over again. No, I didn't do it, but I was willing to walk on him in my stilettos, which was another fetish of his. Paid me $300 to do it for like 10 minutes. I noped out when he asked me to stand on his neck. This one was actually in a brothel, but it's the weirdest one. My girlfriend and I worked at the same place for a while, and we turned up for a shift at like 8 PM, and everyone was like, "Thank God. This guy has been in here for 8 hours doing tons of coke and booking girls, and we are running out of people who want to see him." So we went in together, and he was so drug fucked, like would have me stick my fingers in his ass and like follow him around like that while he peeked through the cracks in the door and the blinds. But then he watched us make out while he literally rubbed cocaine on his cock, so what was nice